I would like to call our City Commission meeting of December the 21st to order. Call a roll, please, ma'am.
A.G. Here. Harris.
Here.
Maynard.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
Shaw. Here. Dykstra.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. If you're able to stand, please stand, and we will recite the Lord's Prayer together for our invocation. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Commissioner Hall, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, sir?
Attention, position, pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 1 on our agenda is consider approval of the consent agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to move 2 items over for discussion, if I may. Items 1D, I just need a clarification on from the city manager on a date, and 1E in regard to the applications to serve. And I do have a last request. I would like to have discussion or even table 1H.
Okay, let's vote on that. All in favor of removing those items from?
You gotta have a motion.
Yeah, I need she made a motion, I think.
Does she need to move to do that? I think she can do that without.
Do we need to?
She pulled it for discussion.
She's pulled it for discussion.
She can pull
Normally
it.
you allow that. I mean, I suppose you could vote not to do that. I've never had come up,
Okay.
haven't really thought about it.
There wasn't a motion, was there? You just wanted to.
No?
Just vote
Okay.
for it.
Okay.
So-
All right, then you want to talk about item D? Go ahead.
I do want to put that.
Actually, I don't really need to talk about it. I just want Justin to be aware that there's a date that's incorrect on license number 009465. It currently has from June 6th to 15, and I think you meant 2015, if you could correct that.
I did see that typo, and we'll get that correct.
Okay, item number E.
I noticed that the applications to serve were submitted in November of 2012, and I guess my question is this a common practice for us to have our applicants submit an application and not renew, or do we just keep those on file? I just need to be educated.
That is correct, ma'am. We do keep them on file. And actually, that form is something that we did a few years ago, and prior to that time, there was nothing nothing at all really that signified someone's interest. And so now we have an application. People can submit it. People can submit it even if there's not an opening, and we hold them on file. And then if there's like perhaps they may only have an interest in one particular board, but there's no opening on that board at that time. We actually retain this information and can pull it down the road and assist the mayor for those positions. So.
These are reappointments, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they were serving, and these are just reappointments.
And
Okay.
these 2 are just reappointments, yes.
Okay. Just needed clarification on the process. Thank you.
Item number H.
1H, I would respectfully ask that we table this. I'd like to have discussion with the city commission on this, if I may.
Well, I mean,
Did you tell?
I don't know why we tabled the fire, I mean, it's just, if you table it, you put them, everything back 30 days, so
Longer than that.
30 to 45 days, so I went, checked it item per item. I don't think it's anything outrageous or anything that need correcting on it. I'm used to doing remodels, sound pretty good, sound good to me. I'm ready to move on with it.
Do you have some questions you'd like to ask
Concerns
about it?
directly, Mayor?
I respectfully would like to indicate I have a concern. And it's not based on the price. It's not based on, I just have a concern. I can't clarify that without, I think, making it a situational issue for the city.
So,
My suggestion, Commissioner Shaw, is to talk to our city manager prior to the meeting so that maybe you get those questions answered and not hold up the project. I'd move we move on and pass the consent agenda as it's written.
Respectfully, I did have a brief discussion with the city manager prior to this, and I'm trying to make the city commissioners aware of my concern. So moved.
So, what did you move? We had a motion. Did you second it?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Okay, let's
So-
vote.
disapproves it as it's written.
Right. James? Motion carries. Item number 2 is citizens' participation. Let me express to the group, if there's citizens here that would like to share something with us, we'd greatly welcome you coming forward, and we'd certainly like to listen to you. So if there's anyone who'd like to come forward. Okay, no one coming forward, then I'll move on to item number 3. Discussion regarding canceling January 4, 2016 City Commission meeting.
I move we cancel the meeting. Second.
Okay,
That's not much discussion, but okay. I have better plans. I got better things to do. So.
okay, so we have a
Sorry.
motion and a second. Let's vote. Motion carries. Item number 4 is consider a resolution of support indicating favorable consideration for a tax credit award to Zimmerman Properties, LLC, to construct a new 48-unit senior multi-family housing development known as Shawnee Estates, approximately 1/4 mile east of North Harrison on Transportation Parkway. I believe that's behind, east of Denny's. Okay.
Dennis, yeah.
Yeah, back in through there. Okay,
Well, of course, I've said this every time one of these come up. As long as we keep building low-income housing, we actually don't have that need in Shawnee, but we keep moving people in, so that makes our per individual income just continue to downgrade, and then that calls for more housing. And the reason why these people are doing this, they're allowed to make 20% right off the top. And so, if it's a $2 million project, they make $200,000 right off the top. So, I'm opposed to the complex, and we've got both the towers, and I don't know what to call the other one, right here on Independence, and then they just finished Lindale Apartments, and that's probably not even 50% filled. So, I'd move we not approve it.
It has to be in the affirmative.
yeah, it has to be in the affirmative, so. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I mean, didn't we do this once before?
Yeah, I thought we approved it.
Well, they
Is
got
this the
approval
second-
for a 60 unit, didn't they?
Their application was denied and.
They were funded.
There's actually 2 phases to this project. As Commissioner Harrod mentioned, an application for a non-age restricted project was approved. I think it's 60 units or 62
Yeah,
units.
60 units.
And so this is a second phase of that project on the same property. This would be restricted, 48 units for senior housing.
Is this in addition to the 60-something?
Yeah, so that'd be 108 apartments.
We talked, and I know that we haven't had time to do this, we talked about trying to, do some guidelines, policy, or whatever, around these, based, we don't even know what our real need is, I tend to, my instinct says, James is right, that we keep on building these type of units, and we don't even know if there's a real need, for it, or if people are gonna come in from out of the county, and move in,
Or even out of the Oklahoma City or somewhere else.
I kind of have a little bit to say about it. I serve people that are in that age group, and I know that this county has a high population of people that are lower income, that also have special needs. And places like this are really unique and nice for them to.
They don't handle special needs, it's just seniors, they're not,
They're low
doesn't
income?
have elevators and stuff like that.
Well, they don't need elevators if it's all one single unit, if
Well,
it's
it's
all.
not, it'll be, I think it's a 3-story, isn't it, Justin? 2 or 3-story.
I don't recall if it's 2 or 3. I think
On
this
this
was
same,
2.
in the same one, it's 2 or 3 story?
Huh?
On this building, it'll be 2
Yeah.
or 3 story? Okay, I'm just, from what I know.
Well,
it was-
I'm aware of,
Having a place
senior
for-
citizens, the income and so forth, but again, we build these things and we don't have the need for them. I'd want to see some kind of a survey that says we have so many, senior citizens that are not being housed anywhere.
Well, I'd like to make a comment about, I've been pretty active with the Salvation Army, and that bridges out of poverty. And they tell me that the waiting list here for a low-income house is as much as 6 months, and this one that's over here on South Kickapoo to the east there, said you're looking at almost a year.
You have the baby boomers that are aging in.
But the thing about it is, they don't have the money, or they don't have the funds to put any more people up. It's not that there's not places to put them, they don't have the funds, so somebody has to move out or be declared, or misuse a voucher or something like that. But they don't have the vouchers to,
I'm not sure
to
about all
fund it. But before I prove it, I'd want to know that information.
Well,
Is-
would the government have loaned them any money?
If
Or
they
done
didn't
this
do a
deal
study?
If there wasn't a need? I'm just asking that question.
We have a large need in this community, in Pot
Right.
County and Seminole County, for
But
sure.
I'm not worried about Seminole County. I'm just worried about
But I'm just
Shawnee.
saying, Pot County for sure.
I'm not worried about Pot County, I'm worried about Shawnee.
So-
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Sorry.
But what I understand, just talking to a few other cities in different state, is that they have a policy where they won't allow 100% housing for low income. They say it's 75-25 or 60-30-40 or something like that, to where they have to have, when they build these units, they have to have some apartments or condominiums, whatever they are, that are unrestricted, right? And that's how they get around this. They say that they just have a policy where they won't allow any 100% housing developments for not 100% low income. It has to be split. And that way they have good diversity in apartments, right? And I think that's something that we should consider, is some sort of policy and say, we're not gonna allow any more of these 100%, low income unless there's a huge need. But we know that there's a need for other apartments too, right? So for unrestricted.
Well, it's my understanding that there were several people applied to get this, other contractors too, not this facility, but at different areas, I believe. Is that correct?
At this time last year, I think you reviewed
Yeah.
3 or 4 applications.
They had 3 or 4, and then they only approved 1. My suggestion is that since they've made such an investment and are trying to do this, and we put on our next agenda and require some numbers of that.
Right.
Starting in 2016.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And, because they've already received this grant or
No, they
whatever.
haven't.
Show us
They
the
have
study.
applications
Show us
they'll
the-
do in February.
The need.
Oh.
Now, Justin, is there going to be any type of impact on what they've already started on this?
They haven't started
Will it
yet.
hold up any of their current actions that
No,
they've
my
started?
understanding is that the first project will happen regardless of if they're successful or not at obtaining the additional tax credits from the state. As part of their application to the state, they do have to provide a market study. Normally, they include that, and sometimes we can include that in your packets. I didn't get that in time for this meeting. I don't have a copy of that. There may be somebody here from Zimmerman Properties that can speak to that issue. But they do submit a market study as part of their application to the state.
Can they not apply for with the state unless we approve it?
That's correct. There's 2 application cycles. There's one now and then one in June. And so if you approve or disapprove of it tonight and they don't get it at the state, then they can apply again in June.
So, Justin, what is what I said a while ago about do they have to have 100% of these set aside as low income, or can they do an apartment complex that's 70, 30?
Yeah, I think they can. I don't know how that complicates it at the state level and with their funding. We've talked about that before, about do we have a percentage threshold where X number have to be market rate units? Do we focus geographically and say, we'll provide support for a project downtown because of the difficulties redeveloping a downtown building, but maybe not in another part of town for new construction?
I think that's what we need to get on the agenda early in next
January.
year, is to talk about the policies, set some policies, so we can be fair to everybody, right, that applies. And if it's look at that, whether it's geographic, I know what some of the other cities, like I said, I talked to somebody that was at another city in Texas, and they just said they don't have any 100% facilities anymore that are 100% set aside low income. They always make, I think their split is 70-30 or something like that.
Okay.
Well, you go to Edmond and you won't find a single project like this in the city of Edmond. Or you go to Enid, you won't find a single project like this in Enid.
To borrow from your words, I'm not worried about Edmund, I'm worried about, no, I'm sorry.
Or what I'm
Sorry,
saying is,
Judge.
if you want to raise the
get it.
income and the average income, we got to stop it somewhere. We're probably have the highest percentage of low-income housing per population of anywhere else in the state of Oklahoma.
Can you validate that? Can you show me those
Our
studies?
county is pretty, he's right
Yeah.
about our county being down there.
Well, I know that 40% of the homes in Shawnee are rental property. I know that. That's not including any apartments. I said homes.
That's huge.
Justin, I certainly think that we need to look at what we can do in the future in regard to master plan and trying to consider these actions in the long run. For tonight, I think we've heard Commissioner Harrod.
So,
I guess my question again, I think about the people that have made a capital investment trying to do this. If we don't act on this till the second meeting in January, does it destroy their chances, or?
This is the deadline for this application cycle. The deadline, I think, is December 31st.
Well, we've already approved them a 60 unit, right?
That's correct. So certainly they could reapply and revisit. You all could revisit this issue mid-year in 2016.
Okay, I do remember their selling point on that was to have workers for the new mall and for the existing mall. That's why when they presented it
That
to
close
us
to-
here. I don't know if y'all recall that. but
Yes, I do.
I do recall that. So,
How many of these units were for seniors? I read
48.
All of them?
All of
Yeah,
them,
all of
100%.
Oh, okay.
100%.
okay, so more discussion? Anybody?
My preference is to defer it to where we can look at the marketing, the real needs, needs study or something, and going forward policies. I realize that they're trying to get this in this year, but like I said, we've already approved 60 units.
Did they not furnish the city with the marketing data?
he just didn't get it on.
They did not this time. I
Well,
recall
then
something
that's
a
their
year
fault
ago.
then. Then they should have got it to us so we'd have a better chance of.
But win, lose, or draw tonight, it's by the 31st, we have to decide.
Tonight's your last opportunity.
Until mid-year next year.
to determine-
Well, I mean,
They'll have another cycle.
Yeah, so they'll get
right?
yeah.
But I don't want to wait till mid-year till something else comes up. I'd like to be proactive,
Yeah.
like Keith's saying, and let's get some data. Somebody
Right.
furnish us some data so we can see where we're going with this thing.
Is there
So-
anyone here from,
So they had not submitted any data for this?
No,
on
ma'am, the
market
data I
study?
saw was a year ago when we had several applications.
I don't feel bad
I think it
about
was
voting
exactly a year
They
ago.
had the data when we approved the 40 units.
Okay, so if someone wants to make a motion on the positive side for this, and then if you don't want it, you can vote no.
Make a motion to defer.
Second.
if there's gotta be action, so would deferring be the action? I guess so, okay.
Would that work?
Second.
Huh? Counselor?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion to defer this item and a second. let's vote. Yes vote means we're deferring it. It will be deferred, okay? Well, from talking about worried about that, let's talk about something really exciting. We have Connie Beffert, is that right? And here tonight to just do a wonderful presentation to us. So, and we're certainly appreciative of the people that smoked and spent all their money on that tobacco, but I wish they weren't doing it, okay?
Mayor and Commissioners, I just want to say tonight you accepted the restroom project as being complete, and the splash pad and restroom project at Boy Scout really wouldn't have been possible for the city to do that project if it wasn't for grants from TSET or Avitas, and Connie is here tonight to officially turn over the $110,000.
Is that the one that, is that the one that we previously were told we were gonna get for that deal?
Yes.
Okay, are you paying us interest since?
You already have the money. This is. Don't try to put this in the ATM.
Right.
Doesn't fit. I just want to take a couple minutes to congratulate Shawnee. You guys have done a wonderful job in putting projects together and getting other partners. The first grant you received from TSET was for $10,000 in 2012, and that was for the airport walking trail. And we went back by there today, and it's really great. Now they're putting lights up. I think that is just terrific. And we saw people out on it, you know, just a few minutes we were there. And then we met James and the Gateway group over at the splash pad, and it's really cute, and it looks like it's going to be a great addition to that section of town too. And I think splash pads are pretty popular here, aren't they?
They are.
So we just want to congratulate you, and on behalf of the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust Board and our Executive Director, Tracy Strader, I want to present you with this check. And can we come around there?
I'll come down there.
Okay.
All right, hey, would it be better you can get the whole commission in?
That's all right, go ahead.
No, no.
Go
You
ahead.
guys.
Yeah, if we don't have white, I ain't gonna enough room.
Come on. We're being bossed around. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I will tell you, there are some ladies that have an office out there on Independence. And right here, they are. They worked extremely hard on getting this. And I can just tell you, I go to some of their meetings, and they're hammering about healthy living and doing so many wonderful things for our community. And thank you too for your efforts. And come up here, and we'll hold this up. But get up here in this picture.
Here, I'll
Get over here.
You can hold it.
No.
Here, we'll get, all right.
No, you get right in here.
Oh,
You
my-
get right in.
Okay, thank you. Just get me out of it.
Smile.
Smile.
One more time. Smile. Good.
Could have made a Billy Button joke.
Huh?
I could have made a Billy Button joke.
Yeah, you could have. Well, let's move to item number 6 and talk about the sales tax.
I have good news.
Good news.
Huh?
Good news. We like to
Good
hear good
news.
news.
Sales tax for December was up. We collected almost 1.5 million, a little over $1.5 million. It's up about 4.5% from last year.
Wow.
And I guess 2013, I guess December, that time frame, October 15th, November 15th, wasn't very good because we're up almost almost 15%.
From what
But-
year, 13?
But I have a but.
A but.
We have to
Okay.
give a rebate.
I just wanted, I'm not gonna say who's giving what, but the new marketplace, since July, we've collected $259,000 in sales tax.
Wow.
As you know, we have to do rebate, so we're netting about 86,000. So when you back that out, we're up about 249,000, which is just slightly under our budgeted numbers. So we're holding our own. We're one of the few communities that are. And I talked to someone at the
That's true.
Oklahoma Tax Commission on something else today, and he said it'll be interesting to see. Right now, we're pretty strong, but everybody else is down. He said it'll be interesting to see what Shawnee's numbers are in March and April.
So is he like trying to be on the negative side against
He
Shawnee?
just wants us to be aware.
But
You
you
know.
said we're slightly under our budget numbers,
Yeah,
right?
we
Okay.
budgeted 3%, and we're coming in right now at 2.9.
Okay, so we don't have a whole lot of money to splurge or anything.
Not excess,
Zero
no.
money to splurge.
But, I mean, it is coming in, and so far, since the beginning of the marketplace, we've collected about $370,000 in sales tax.
Well, that's a real plus.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're blessed to have
And
that.
we are starting to see, I just wanted to let you know, but remember, it's a one-time hit. It's not something that comes all the time. Our use tax has been very high lately. But that is because they're starting to pay on the marketplace, but that's a one-time, you know, but it's been pretty impressive for the last few months, so.
Good. Thank you. Just keep up the good news each month.
Just don't spend all of them.
Just get out there and spend some of that new husband's money in Shawnee.
More of it.
Yeah, more of it. Thank you very much for that good report. City manager update.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Pleased to give you this update, the last update for 2015. We've got 4 or 5 items here. I'll start with Fire Station number 2. The item on the consent agenda this evening will allow us to kind of minimally rehabilitate the previous historical Station 2 on East Main. And that's important because then we'll be able to have good coverage and response times in that area, and it will further facilitate our ability to rehabilitate the Bryan Street Station. Over the last month, we received 10 submittals from qualified architectural and engineering firms. We interviewed 4 firms in person, and we're down to a single firm that we are negotiating with. So we hope to have a contract and a scope of services to you on your January 19th meeting. So that will set the stage for everything that needs to happen on the Bryan Street Station to be able to get that open. It's going to be a little bit of a long road. We're probably looking at about a 6-month design phase and to get the project out for bid, and then probably about a 9-month construction window. So again, that's also why we proposed those improvements to the old station, because we're going to have personnel in that station for probably about 1.5 years or so by the time this is all said and done. So January 19th, we'll have hopefully a good, strong recommendation for you and be able to hire a specific firm going forward. Number 2 is a project I know near and dear to many of you, something we've talked about for several years and have reserved the money for, and that's the auditorium heat and air. Several months ago, you hired an engineer to prepare those bid specifications and design that system. That work is almost complete, and I think Mr. Bryce is hoping to bring that to you for permission to bid either on January 19th or February 1st meeting. So within about a month or so, we'll be hopefully out for bid on that project, and then under construction shortly thereafter, and hopefully be able to get that system in place for at least part of the summer. Wanted to spend just a little bit more time updating you on our trails and sidewalks projects. We've made a lot of progress over the last year. The Bryan Street Trail is nearly complete. There's one short segment to complete by the old Country Club property. That will take just a couple of weeks to wrap up. We're just waiting on some final survey information and easement forms. and that will complete that 2-mile segment. You've probably seen the construction on Independence Street. We're started work on that sidewalk, which will connect into the Sequoia Elementary School and then go eastward to the trail. So it will provide
So it's going to go east to Bryant Trail.
Yes, so go east to the trail or west from the trail to the elementary school. Actually, we're hoping to make that improvement all the way to Center Street. So that will connect all those neighborhoods, not just to the school, but then also to the trail as well. So that's a project that will probably take about 60 days or so to wrap up that segment of the work. Airport lighting. You have seen those lights hopefully on the airport go up. They're on kind of a quick schedule to get those complete. Took us about a year to get to the stage, unfortunately, but now since the contractor's been hired by OG&E, they've been moving pretty quickly. And actually, there's a chance that those lights will be operational either late this year or I think very early in January at the very latest. So that's something that's going to be complete soon, and people will be able to utilize those this winter. The one big section of our grant that we got from Avitas and our commitment with the matching funds that is still a little bit in flux is the east-west connecting sidewalk that was promised. And so you can visually think of the new sidewalks on Kickapoo Street, our existing sidewalks on MacArthur Street, the airport trail, and it also goes out to St. Gregory's. And then, of course, now we've got the Bryan Street Trail and this connection along Independence Street. But we don't have anything yet that connects the east and the west systems. And so that is what we're doing, spending our time on right now is devising a plan to make that final connection. There's several different possible routes. Obviously, we have several east-west connecting streets through town. The one that appears most promising is MacArthur Street. Right now, that sidewalk ends at Windermere, that new subdivision that was recently put in. It's the shortest segment. We'd like to take that sidewalk and continue it west to Harrison Street. And of course, then it will connect to existing sidewalks on MacArthur that go all the way to St. Gregory's and connect in with Kickapoo and connect in with the walking track. There are some technical challenges with that route because of the slopes and because of the drainage features there. So we're exploring available funding and looking at ways maybe we can get some additional grant funding to complete that. So kind of the plan is over the next 12 months is to complete everything that we promised we were going to complete under the Avitas Phase 1 grant, and then really set ourselves in a good position to go back to funders for a Phase 2 project in approximately a year from now. And that's where we're at. The other project that's come up, which has been great, but also has kind of slowed our progress because we only have so many staff members to kind of manage these projects. That project is the Union Street sidewalk, which was not part of our Avitas grant, but was actually just made possible from a grant that Avitas made to the Shawnee Public Schools. And so we have our engineering staff is currently designing that project. We've had the survey work done, and we're hoping to get that out for bid this spring so that construction can be completed this summer prior to school starting. So if you take what we already had in progress and you add that on top of it, you see we've got about 9 to 12 months worth of work left, and then hopefully about a year from now I can report to you that you all can review a plan for a Phase 2 project, hopefully with Avitas and with ODOT and with other funding partners. So I just threw a lot at you. Are there any questions before I move on to the next item?
I have a question. So when we finish the sidewalk on Independence, will we be able to go back to Bryan Street and finish that, or are we still?
Yes. Between Independence and Bryan Street, I'm thinking that's probably about a 60 to 90 day process to get that.
So we will finish
wrapped up.
that before we start the. Okay.
Yes, that will be 100% complete before we start the east-west connection, whether it be at MacArthur Street or not. Last week, I was also made available some additional funding that's been made available by ODOT for transportation alternatives, and we are it's kind of a short application period and process that will happen this spring, and so I'm hopeful that we have a good chance of getting some funding to do that MacArthur Street segment that I described and kind of limit the impacts to our budget.
Now, Justin, are we looking at putting any lighting along Bryant for that walking trail?
At this time, we have not contemplated lighting. I don't know that, there is some existing lighting along some of the intersections, but I think what we could do is work with the Traffic Commission and review to see if we need additional lighting. I don't know that we could do the kind of the extensiveness and the quality of the lighting that we're doing at the airport track, because that's quite spendy. But I think that we could certainly, there's existing utility poles all up and down Bryan Street, so we could add some fixtures
It's just,
reasonably
there's just
cheaply.
a few dark places, I think. There's several lights along there already.
There are several lights. North of Bradley, it's pretty dark as you get
Yes.
north of there, but
I've had a number of families ask me that.
Okay.
They've weighed both the pros and the cons of having it, so.
Yes.
I think the consensus is yes.
is
if
do it.
there's-
Yes, I know the light, sometimes lighting can be a detriment if there's a residence right near, but I think there's some areas along there that we can add some lighting that won't impact any residential structures.
Before you move on, would it be possible for us to get a color-coded map showing the sidewalks that are being done as part of the Avitas City Partnership right now?
Absolutely.
And then maybe a different color for the Union segment there, and then future possibilities, maybe in a different color, so,
Yes, I'd be happy to do that.
okay.
Lastly, I just wanted to mention to you that Streetscape, we have Downtown Streetscape, that project, we have executed all the agreements with the contractor, and they are scheduled to begin January 19th. So hopefully, if the weather is decent that day, you'll see individuals out there working and prior to your commission meeting.
Justin, if MacArthur doesn't work out, you can go down to Bradley and cut across, all the way across there. That'd be a nice little walk through there.
Bradley would be nice. We've also explored Center Street, from Bradley from Center Street north,
Yeah.
and then connecting through along Federal Street.
Yeah.
That's about a mile and a half versus about a little more than maybe a sixth of a mile on MacArthur. But so we've got some challenges there, just with funding and with topography. But I'm hoping
The
that.
elevations up and down on MacArthur, pretty bad.
Yes, the sidewalk would be as far west as we could, excuse me, as far south as we could.
Kind of
put
big
it.
slopes and
Right.
ditches through there.
Bar
I could
ditches.
see.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you kind of visualize where the existing sidewalk is in front of Windermere, we try to stay that far south the whole distance.
Shoot it down.
Mhm.
And then tie in over there at the Bryan Street, where it starts on Bryan. and-
Yes, it would wrap around, and Grove Elementary is doing a construction project, and they'll be adding some sidewalk segments on the north side of
Okay,
MacArthur
good.
as well, so there'll be some connection there.
They'll need it there.
Yeah, they'll all use that coming back home.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have any, so that concludes your manager's update. Item number 8 is consider bids and proposals for snow and ice removal. We don't want any of that, snow or ice.
We'd like to remove all of it.
Wireless construction.
If you can remove it completely and not let it come, you'll get a unanimous vote.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Don Lynch, Emergency Management Director. Following your directions to staff, we went out for proposals to assist the Streets and Engineering Department with removal of snow and ice from the city streets and certain key locations, and requested proposals. We sent notice to 10 vendors, published a notice in the Shawnee News Star and on the city website. We received one bid this evening. I did receive a call from a couple of vendors. Most of the companies that are out there already have long-term contracts with Oklahoma City, ODOT, places like that. they said they would be willing to look at it on a case-by-case basis if they weren't busy doing a project for them, but they really didn't want to commit to having equipment on, you know, for us in those circumstances, because it's probably a good shot that they would be called to help Canadian County or Oklahoma County or ODOT with those issues first. So at any rate, we did receive a bid this evening from PTS Pipeline and Tank Services LLC out of McLeod, and they submitted a price list that I have attached to the bid form that we'll read for you now. We had asked for rates for Monday through Friday during the daylight hours 8 to 5, and then from 5 to 8 on Saturdays and Sundays, and then on holidays the rate would to include all the costs of operating the equipment. That includes labor, maintenance, fuel, tires, etc. In the quote that we received from PTS, all their prices quoted include operator, fuel, maintenance, transportation, and their costs are through Monday through Sunday and holidays, so they didn't differentiate between what time of the day that the rental would take place. They're offering 6 pieces of equipment, and then a dump truck with a salt setter and a plow. The first piece of equipment is a motor grader, and it rents monthly at the cost of $8,510, weekly rental $22,127, daily rental $303, and hourly rental is $225. Second item, the bid was for a wheel loader, John Deere. The monthly rental is $5,750, weekly rental $1,437.50, daily rental $205.50, and hourly rental $225. For the third unit is a John Deere compact track loader. Monthly rental is $2,070, weekly rental $517.50, daily rental $295, and hourly rental $185. Fourth unit is a compact track loader, John Deere. The unit rents on a monthly basis for $2,070, weekly rental is $517.50, daily rental $295, and hourly rental $185. Next unit is a compact track loader, John Deere. Again, the monthly rental is $2,070, weekly rental $517.50, daily rental $295, and hourly rental is $185. The next unit is a John Deere compact track loader. Monthly rental is $2,070, weekly rental is $571.50, daily rental $295, and the hourly rental is $185. And then the last unit that they have bid is a dump truck with salt and plow, and it rents listed as a rental of $250. I'm not sure, they did not qualify whether that's an hourly rental or a daily rental, so we would need to check on that. Given the fact that we are not going to have a meeting in January, staff would request that you authorize us, if we find this to be acceptable to the Engineering and Streets Department, to allow staff to go ahead and offer a contract to PTS for this service. If we, in fact, did have to use them, the funding for that would come out of the city manager's emergency discretionary fund at the time, and then obviously, once emergency is declared, we'd come back to you at the next available meeting to ratify that. So it would be within any rental that we would do off of this contract would be under the emergency authority that the city manager has for that. So all of the bid information, the bid packet was in good order. All the affidavits were there and everything was in good shape. We just need to clarify the one item about the dump truck, whether that was an hourly or daily rental, and everything else appears good.
So is your recommendation to approve this?
My recommendation would be to accept the bid and authorize staff to submit a contract pending approval of the Engineering and Streets Department.
Let me ask you one more quick question. You know, you made a statement that some of these people have longer-term contracts.
Correct.
Would we benefit by getting a longer-term contract? Could we see the price down, and would it be more efficient for 2 or 3 or 4 years?
We could look into that. I don't know legally that we're able to.
Well, how are the other cities doing it then?
They're
renewing an existing contract.
Okay.
That was in place.
You think, I mean, they negotiated with 4 years?
The other issue that comes into play here is those are entities that use those contractors on a regular basis. It's very rare that the city of Shawnee has ever used a contractor to
So they're
assist. We've
using
always
for
done
something
it.
other than snow removal?
Correct.
Oh.
Right, for the skid steers and stuff.
So,
Okay.
but
How do these rates look to you? I mean, do they look?
this looks
With the-
consistent, as particularly the hourly daily rental, looks consistent with what we've seen from other organizations. We did a little research into that.
So, I may not be reading this right, like the first the first piece of equipment there, the hourly rental is $225 and the daily rental is $303.
Correct. So they're 8 hours in a day, which is
Yes,
the big,
Cost
Why
is
would
hauling
anybody ever
in.
do rent it by the hour?
Yeah, we do rent it by the day.
I'm sending them home early.
exactly.
But the cost is hauling it up here, I'm
The co-
sure.
Right.
And-
Yeah, and
That's
it's-
where your cost is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's possible that it wouldn't be available all day too, right, if they're working for somebody else. We
Half a
only,
day.
may only be able to get them for an hour or two.
Correct. That's possible. So if we were to negotiate a contract on a daily rental basis, we would make sure that they would guarantee that it would be
Well,
available.
The
for that
second
daily
piece of
rental.
equipment's even stranger because my hourly rate's
Is
$225.
less than a daily rental,
And
absolutely.
my daily rate's $205.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'd rent it for a day.
But these come with the operators though, right?
Correct.
I'll make money if I tell you come here for all day.
And they're gonna haul it, they're gonna,
They're gonna haul it, bring it here, and it's for the operator, the fuel, the maintenance, the transportation, all the
That's-
costs wrapped together.
And Don,
liability too.
Don, do you have experience with this pipeline and tank services?
I do not know anything about them, no, ma'am. We would certainly check and make sure they're not on the suspended bidders list or anything, and make sure they're not registered with the Better Business Bureau, have any negative comments before
they're
we would
local
do a
guys that
contract.
need work probably this time of year.
Absolutely, and they have some equipment.
Oilfield's slowing down.
Right.
Well, field's slowing down, right.
Okay, we have a staff recommendation that we go with PTS Pipeline and Tank Services
So
first.
moved with the understanding that you have it checked with the Better Business Bureau
You
and
bet.
suspended?
Suspended debarred contractors list.
Yes, please,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Have a second by Commissioner Hall. Thank you. Let's vote. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any new business?
No, sir.
No new business, huh? Commissioners' comments.
I have a comment. I was approached by an individual today that had a couple of questions. I've already got the answers to those questions, and I could get back with him, but I thought a couple of these would maybe be a benefit to some other people also. And one was the lights in the Woodland Park, the Christmas lights. They're not being lit up this year. And I visited briefly via email with James Bryce, and he said that there was a line that was cut and during the construction, and that they've been working to get that back up, and it just hasn't happened yet. So that's the reason, is because of a cut line. It wasn't intentional. And one of the other questions was about animal control during disasters. And I consulted with Chris Thomas, and the question was, in the case of like a tornado where there's a lot of displaced animals, does the animal control shelter go ahead with its standard procedures, or do they make exceptions for the animals during this period of time? And he said their first priority would be to try to be proactive in locating the owners of those animals. And then if they could not locate the animals within a period of time, that they would try to work with the rescue operations and find homes for those animals. And then as a last result, if they couldn't find homes or place those animals, then they would fall back onto their standard routine. And that was pretty much it. I think our city manager addressed he had asked about the possibility of a sidewalk on Federal, and that's not in this Phase 1 plan. But apparently it's something that would be looked at as dollars become available. And city manager did say he would provide us with a map, a color-coded map showing what's in place at this time and what could possibly happen in the future as far as those that would be most probable to happen as the dollars become available. So when we get that map, I will send a copy to him. And anybody else that wants a copy, let me know, and we'll try to get that information to you. So
Or let Justin know.
do what?
Or just let Justin know. yeah.
Yes, yeah, we could do that. He doesn't have enough to do as it is, so we'll send them to him. Okay, that's all I have.
I have a comment about last time we were trying to decide on whether to have the January 4th meeting, and I had some misinformation from the county election board that we could call to fill position number 1 if we did it by January the 5th, and come to find out after talking with Justin, I'd gotten erroneous information, which isn't correct, so I guess I just assumed it wasn't meant to be, so we'll not have the election until a regular time. But I was pretty upset at the time to think that we had plenty of time and opportunity to call the election if they'd given me the correct information, which they did not do. So anyhow, I made the motion not to have the January 4th meeting, because that's what I had planned to have on that agenda. But since the election board gave me the wrong information, then that's a moot point.
Commissioner Hall? Commissioner Shaw?
Earlier, I'd mentioned in regard to what Commissioner Harrod was talking about in regard to the fire station. I certainly understand the need to have that done. My concern still stands in regard to performance of our contractors. I think we need to be consistent in looking through and with our Better Business Bureau and actively engaging that. And I feel confident that both Cindy and Justin are doing that. But I'd just like to indicate that I have a concern on performance of contractors and ensuring that they comply with what the needs are of the city. Also, I'd like to say that recently, I believe we're all probably aware of the 1 cent sale tax that's out there. And I, for one, am very supportive of school systems and the fact that our schools teachers are so underpaid and the need for that. And I hope that when you look at that issue, or now or in the future, that you always consider what the teachers do for our lives. So that's all I have.
Commissioner Dock?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to encourage every 11th hour shopper out there like myself that they ought to go out to our local businesses and buy from our local businesses. We would really appreciate it. The businesses need the business, and I'm sure we have just as good a service here as you can get anywhere else. I do most of my shopping when I can down in Shawnee, so I encourage other people to stay local and spend their money, because it really does matter. I guess that's it.
Okay.
Looking forward to seeing you guys in the middle of January.
Okay, I have a couple of comments. Downtown, if you haven't driven downtown, I'm telling you, downtown is changing tremendously. The buildings that are being redone, it is just, and Linda, Commissioner Agee, kudos go out to you and so many people that are working on that project. But I mean, there are a lot of people, and I just heard a couple more buildings sold down there. And when you get that streetscape in there, that new street and all those walks and everything, I tell you, it is going to be exciting. And before I move on to the Shawnee Airport Authority, I will say this. And I've been, as mayor, you get to see so many wonderful things from time to time in our community. Mr. Gibson and I were out at the bicycle giveaway. I'm telling you, that church and all the people, the business people, and I don't know what they give away, 500 bikes or something like that. And to see those kids' face to have a Christmas present, and I mean, you could tell there were some of them that were going to have a real lean Christmas in there. And there are just things like that going in our community. And I think we have a tendency sometimes, the community and the media, and I'm not talking about our local newspapers as much as I am talking about the TV, and I've gotten to the point that all they do is talk about the bad. But I'm going to tell you folks, in this city, and I believe in our country, there's a lot more light than there is darkness. There's a lot of great things going on, and we need to remember that in this holiday season, okay? And look for the good instead of getting so focused on the negative. And I'll shut up. I'll shut up preaching, okay? All right, I will adjourn our city commission and move to the Shawnee Airport Authority. I will declare that we do have a quorum. Item number 1 is consider approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Dykstra. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hall. Let's vote. Motion carries. Item number 2 is new business.
There's no new business, sir.
No new business. Then I will adjourn the Shawnee Municipal Authority, Airport Authority, and move to the Shawnee Municipal Authority and declare that we do have a quorum. And item number 1 is consider approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Hall. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shaw. Let's vote. Motion carries. Item number 2 is in new business.
There is no new business.
No new business. Okay, I will adjourn the Shawnee Municipal Authority and wish each and every one of you a very, very Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year. Thank you, Commissioners, for your hard work.